Hey, buddy, how you doing?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good, man. Yeah, you're Mr. Celebrity now.
You know,
You know,
just in our little small world here. That's
no,
it.
man. I see you all over the place now. You're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Man, you're all everywhere.
Well,
Kudos
dude,
to
social
you.
media is the world we live in, right? Four out
I
of the
know,
top
I
eight
know,
sites are social. So,
I know. That's the way to go,
but
man.
we need a team, man. Look, the very first time I decided this is all about you, but I want to lead with this because
No,
it's
that's fine.
important.
Take your time.
The very first time I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go all in, right? I outlined what that would look like. And I said, I need all of these people. And then I weighed it and I said, okay, do I really need them in-house? Because I have a large in-house team as well. Or can I can I get a virtual assistant and maybe not pay as much and still have talent, right?
Yeah.
So that journey started, that like real journey, the one when I multiplied it a lot, started about 2 years ago. And now I'm at 23 virtual assistants.
Holy
And
cow.
they help run three of my companies. And a lot of that is video editing, social media, graphic design work, just operations on the back end. And dude, that's why I want to talk to you, because we have a really good VA team as well that helps with real estate, right?
Hmm?
Our ISA team, our TCs. So tell me, you hired your last VA about, I think it was the last time we interviewed you. It was about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, May.
Yeah, probably like May. Yeah, May,
Yeah.
June. Yeah, May, June is when that last person came in. And actually, I just sent the an email to my point of contact over there to hire the next person. We just gave thumbs up to the next person to come on board.
Wait, what
So
is the next person? I want to know.
she is going to be assisting us, sort of like a listing manager position. So
Oh,
assisting in
nice.
terms of producing listing paperwork, sending things to client DocuSign to clients, producing comparables, price adjustments, just kind of like another set of eyes on all the listings that we have on the market. Since this market has been moving very, very fast, I think there is sometimes a tendency for agents to, oh, I'm just going to skip this step because, I got to sell the house, right? But I still have to be in compliance, right? As a team lead, we all have to be in compliance. But before I jump into today, what I want to talk about is I have a nice quote that I got. This is from Helen Keller. I don't think it has nothing to do with Keller Williams for sure, by the way, but
No, definitely not.
it's Helen Keller, and it says, "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much."
Mm.
And this is something that it really, really, it's pretty heavy, right, for me, because we all have tried to be that person with the spinning dishes all over the place. And we're trying to keep them all together, juggle so many things, and we do nothing. I was recently watching this guy on TikTok does this exercise. He has like almonds in one bucket and he has peanuts on the other one. And it's the same amount of quantity, probably like 15, 20 units. And the
Okay.
guy says there is like somebody that he's teaching says like, in 15 seconds, I want you to separate the peanuts from the almonds and put them in their own buckets. And the guy, it's like at 15 seconds, he's like 3/4 of the task and he's not going to be able to accomplish it. Then he says, okay, reverse engineer. Now only take the almonds out of that bucket into the other one. And he was able to accomplish that in less than 15 seconds. So what's here the story? Concentrate in the one thing that makes you productive.
Mm.
So once we came into the whole world of having people to be virtual, we needed to figure out a way. So building a virtual team has not been easy. I will have to admit it has been quite challenging, not because of the quality of the people, it's just because we have been reluctant to change. We always have the people in office that you can walk to their cubicle, to their office space. Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do it for that? And yeah, it's easy to do it that way versus having a systematic approach, a collaboration approach, a form submission approach where everything is systematic, is documented, because if something would have failed, then you can put your hands on. So first thing for building this thriving team of virtual assistants, the first thing that I did is I needed to create a culture. It's a culture that it's a mix of people that are overseas and a culture of people that we still have in office. And how can these people work together in so many ways? So then I went and I had to do it in a way that it just needed to be that way. It wasn't easy to do it. So I have to just work on that. And they just went ahead and, just hired me the right people. They brought it to me here after going through the interviews, going through their disc assessments and going through all that stuff. And that all was really working very, very well. So I definitely, challenges that we have to go through, but we were able to put it all together. And with the help of technology and the collaboration tools, that wasn't really that difficult. Then COVID hit. And then with COVID came, a lot of things change. And then I now have to say, okay, so, another thing that we need to be mindful is empathy, right? We have to have a lot of empathy for people, because as we can get sick over here, they can also get sick over there. And you have to be willing to work with them, have empathy. So that was another thing that we needed to do, to work with them in terms of getting the people that we wanted to get to work together. And just because they're overseas doesn't mean they cannot, deserve empathy. So I have got quite on that side, I've got some people that have actually left me because their parents got COVID, or so another relative got COVID, and now they have to care for them. That's part of their culture over there. And it hasn't been easy at all. It was very difficult to honestly care for a lot of these people at the same time to make sure that we can continue to be productive. So that was very difficult. That was not an easy task, honestly, for me. So we lost like 3 or 4 of them because of not that they died. It's just they decided to leave the company because they needed to care for elderly parents that were dealing with COVID, and they needed to be there with them. So it was difficult on me because we have to then reinvent certain processes and protocols, and I needed to start hiring again people. So that's why I told you that we just hired another person this morning, because I figured some things that were not quite working for us, where I needed to have some redundancy in certain systems. So if one goes, I still have another person that knows what's happening.
Got it. All right. So let's go over who you currently have then. Who is on your team right now? What does that look like?
So virtually we have 2 ISAs full-time calling from Monday through Saturdays. Okay. We have one person that is doing everything has to do marketing. Okay, everything else just marketing, producing brochures, social media postings, and all of that. That's a collaboration with a 2-person in-house team that we have also. So we have 2 in-house and 1 virtual that does all the marketing. Then we lost 2 of them that were doing a lot of video production and podcast editing. So we lost them, and now we have this other person here that we just hired that is going to be coming and helping on the listing side of things, because we noticed there were a lot of things that we were not being able to do. And so now we have this person for the listing side of things. They're going to help us. We're still looking for another one to replace of the 2 that left that were on video and podcast and SEO and social media. We're looking to do that. So the first person I mentioned to you in social media, it's more for the properties, for doing all the pieces for the properties. The other person, it's more to kind of like generate put the word out there in social media for inbound leads, outbound leads, and so on, the follow-up. And so it's just different side on the marketing that we need.
Got it. So right now, how many VAs do you have?
3.
All right.
3 and 2 ISAs.
All right. So perfect. So 3 and then 2 ISAs. With the other VAs, you said 2 of them are marketing, and then one of them is the listing coordinator?
Listing manager, huh?
Listing manager. Got it. All right. So tell me about the ISAs, because you mentioned that they're working at different times, so that I'm assuming they could cover all the online leads that come through. Explain to me what times they're working and who are they calling specifically?
Sure. So the times that I have these ISAs, VAs are from 9 to 6 Monday through Saturday. Okay. And then I have one person that comes half day on Sunday. So they are calling a lot of the inbound leads that we receive, people that submit, stuff through the website. They request information to be downloaded. They want to ask about showing a property, want information about that. Those are the ones kind of like the face front they're going after. And then we are getting the other ISA calling the people that we have in our database, circle prospecting through Vulcan 7, calling around the listings, that we have sold in the past and trying to generate the opportunity. So those are kind of like the combination of the two of them that I have working. And as I said, 9 to 6 Monday through Saturday. And then we have one that it does a couple hours on Sunday, mostly follow-up. As you know, a lot of these CRMs, the moment you get somebody in, you put them in, they go into drip campaigns, automatic systems and processes.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of knowing when to touch them, when is your turn to touch them, and so on. For the most part, they just stay in autopilot until they come to the surface, and then it's time to interact with a human being.
All right, I like that. All right, so let's dive deeper into ISAs, because ISA is one of the ones that most people want to hire, right? Because
Sure.
they're like you and I, we do get online leads or leads in general. And maybe sometimes they have a big database and they want to work that. So incoming leads, they call and text them and email them, or what does that look like when an incoming lead is coming through? What does the ISA do, that ISA?
So we follow something called the 9 days of pain.
Okay.
So for 9 days, we're going to call, we're going to text, we're going to email. No response, we just repeat it again. No response, we just repeat it again. And then at that point, we assume that the lead is probably wasn't a legit lead, number one, or two, they were not really as interested or urgent in wanting to transact with us. So they go into different buckets where they just get different other, depending if it's a seller, of a buyer or investor, they just get different information. But the main thing is the lead to speed. You have to call these people within 5 minutes. When they come to your website, you have to call them right away. If you don't call them, I guarantee you there is another team in town that he has a group of ISAs or realtors calling them, and somebody's going to convert this person. So we call them like immediately.
I love that. All right. So what about the accent? What does that ever become a problem? Do they have an accent? Do they not? What does that sound like?
They don't have an accent for the most part. I would say now part of my process of interviewing people, once I've identified the candidates that I like, I request them, they send me a video intro for who they are. And I request to be 2-3 minute video intro, who they are, what kind of experience they have in the past. What I'm measuring there is a couple things. Number one, it is how fluid they are in English. Whether they have an accent or not, I don't think it's a big of a problem, but I wanted to make sure their structure, their sentences, and they can have that information done in a good way. Two, I got to measure the equipment they have. Do they have a laggy internet connection? Do they have a bad headset that is going to sound pretty good? What kind of noises do they have in the background? Are they calling next to a window where there is a busy road right outside?
Ooh.
Are they really treating this opportunity to work for somebody else overseas as professional as they can and they are allowed? So that's the reason what I do. I don't really care much about the lighting because they're not going to be doing like video calls like we're doing right now. But I do care more about the quality of the sound, because that's so important. Now we do provide the telephone systems for them here in the US. So we just go and get them. All they need to have is a reliable internet connection. And I do ask them if they have a backup internet connection. That's very important to me, because if they only rely on one system and they get hit by a bad storm over there, then they will lose the internet and then they're gone for hours or days. So another thing is they have to have backup internet system. So they always show me which one's your primary, which one is your secondary.
What does secondary look like? Because if the lights go out, then they're out. Are you talking about like a little hotspot?
The hotspot, yep.
No, dude, that is a really solid point that not a lot of people bring up, because what happens is in the Philippines, if you're outsourcing to the Philippines, is that there are a lot of storms there, and all
Mhm.
of a sudden everything's gone off the grid. So that's such a great point. I would definitely encourage everybody that's chiming in here and
The,
watching.
the video interview, it's amazing. That's when they to have them send you a video of 3-5 minutes to talk about who they are. It's really amazing. That's that's a qualifying or disqualifying point in my opinion, for many angles. And that way, they give you 10 profiles. You can very easily know who's going to be that person. So the one that I did interview yesterday, she has previous experience working for Dish Network. I think she said for 7 years, being customer service working for Dish Network. So her English is really good. Conversations just really good. She was qualifying me. When do you want me to start, this day or this day? What's your preference, this shift or this shift? So she was kind of like giving me all the things that I'm looking to somebody, the alternative of choice. Because last thing you want to do with a ISA is they get into yes or no questions, because then 2 no's and they're out.
Yeah, that's a great point too, man. We just hired a blogger, believe it or not. And I needed, obviously, if they're going to be blogging, I need their English, their comprehension, and their written skills to be really high. So I had them do 2 things. One, I did need a video, right? And man, this guy is called Miggs. We hired him. His English is amazing, right? It's dude, it sounds like he's in the valley here in Los Angeles. So number 1, very well spoken. Number 2, we had him write out 3 different examples of the types of blogs that we want. And he passed with flying colors. But we did interview quite a few people before we hired that one person. So we got an amazing one, and I can't wait to see his work. So what a great idea on the video, because I agree with you.
Yeah, the most difficult hires we had, it's been on the ISA. I'll be honest with you. On the regular VA for day-to-day, operations and tasks, those are not as difficult. On the ISA, it is difficult because their conversion skills have to be really good and they have to sound very knowledgeable. So that one, I will say the 2 that I have right now are like rock stars. We love them and they're amazing at what they do.
What makes them rock stars?
Experience, 1. 2 is how easy they're able to learn the environment and the culture that we have created, right? 2 and 3, that they ask questions. We set up sessions where, like, yes, I am there to train them, but I'm there to have them ask me questions. And the more complex of the questions they ask me, I know they're telling me they're doing their homework, because they are willing to go deeper. Some of the challenges that you have with these people is that they do as you tell them to do, right? There is not really, some of them, well, I don't think I have the freedom to make a decision in this case or scenario, because they may not be, my boss is going to get mad at me. No, I want them to also think for themselves and say, like, okay, if you have this scenario, how would you solve it? So once they start coming with those scenarios, how they're going to solve them, I know they're rock stars, in addition to their, of course, telephone skills that have to be top notch. So yes, that's kind of how we go.
Robert, do you record the calls? I don't know. Is you're in DC or Virginia, like borderline? Where are you at?
No, I'm Maryland, DC.
Maryland, DC.
Yeah.
And when you're calling, do you have to let the caller know that you're recording the call, or is it like a one-sided type recording there?
No, you have to let him know.
Okay. So do you guys record the call then? Say, hey, this call is being recorded, or no?
Yes, we do.
All right. So how is that when you go back? Do you often look and say, hey, you could have done better here? Do you have any protocols that can help those callers get better?
Yes. So once a week, we have a one-on-one session and to talk about the week and the results and everything. And within that session, I say, okay, tell me what the challenges you had this week. Which ones were the challenges? Was it a challenge with the system, or was it a challenge with leads? And if they're leads, which ones are the particular leads that you had challenges with? So we went through, all of them. So it's like, okay, let's listen to the calls right now and see how you interacted with this person and what this person was asking you for and what you were, we just kind of like go through the whole process. Sometimes things go a little bit outside of the protocol that we have in terms of how we want to structure the phone calls. Sometimes it happens. I don't like it really when it goes outside too much, because then I don't want to be making exceptions. But then I always tell them, it says, if they're calling, it's because they want information, and we have to provide information to these people. So the way we deliver the information, it's the key here. We have to deliver it in a way that the other person is going to find the need to continue to engage with us. So oftentimes when in this kind of market, when they call you for 123 Main Street and that house is already under contract, if you tell them the house is under contract, they may just hang up on you and say goodbye, right? That's it, because they were just calling about that property. They just got to move on to the next one. So you have to find ways to engage with people, keep them on the phone, build the trust, and that way then they allow you to send them information about older properties that are not on the market. So the hook for us is we have something called the heat map. Basically, that's where those are our private exclusives that we have the rights to do some marketing up front. We put them in a Google map and broken down in different sections of Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And when they are talking with us and they say, well, unfortunately, that house, as far as I know, just went under contract. But, we do have other properties that are available in the same area. And we have something that is called our heat map that is a private exclusive. It's by registration only, and you will have access to see the front picture of the property, basic description, and the price often is something you will have to be discussed with the agent that owns that listing. Would you be interested in something like that? So, oh, sure, no problem. Then can I verify your email, your telephone number? What's the best way to communicate with you all? Mm-hmm. And then we get all that information. We send the link, and then they register. So that's just a double registration, just to make sure they didn't provide a fake email the first time, and so on. So then we keep them engaged with the properties that we have coming soon.
I like that. And then how long did it take you to train your ISAs so that you felt comfortable enough to be like, okay, they're good, they're ready, I love them?
With the ISAs, is probably you're looking, in terms of learning your systems, about 2 weeks. In terms of actually being able to keep people on the phone, you're probably looking at a month to month and a half, six weeks max. If in 4 to 6 weeks this person is not learning, that's not the right ISA for you. You got to just
switch them.
Yeah, switch them.
All right. That's actually good. I was going to say 2 months, but it really is also going to depend on the training that you have too, and how much time you give them to learn, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you just put them out there and say, hey, okay, go ahead and work, right? Chances are you're going to fail massively. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your training, and let's talk about the tasks and duties that you have in place specifically for your ISAs, just so that I understand it. What are those? What's the process of them incoming and being part of your team? What's the training look like?
So I have created a training that it's a four week long of onboarding process. It's not a whole day onboarding process. It's probably about 3 hours of like learning our systems, our techniques, our processes, our materials. That's very important. If you're going to have people download materials from your website, your ISA needs to know those materials, whether it's a digital guide or a book that you're going to be mailing out, or booklet, whatever. They need to know the things, that the content that is written inside of each of these pieces. If they don't know that, they have no tools to engage with people when they are on the phone with them, because somebody could be talking about, well, we're thinking about selling, but we are 3 years away. Oh, great. No problem, Mr. Seller. I appreciate that. It sounds like to you that this, whatever name guide we have, is the right guide for you. Would you like me to send you a hard copy or a link to download a copy? This guide talks about people that are 3-5 years away from selling. Oh, yeah, no problem. That's amazing, right? Or the example I gave you with the buyer. So they go through those 4 weeks. They have to read. That's a lot of reading. They have to go for the materials that we do. And also there is a lot of researching they have to do in the neighborhoods where we sell houses or counties, areas, however you structure it. Because a lot of people here buy based on the schools that we have around here. That's a section here, Potomac. It's a city that it has has one of the best schools in the country, and people oftentimes buy there because of the schools. So
I love that, dude.
They have to understand the schools, the demographics of the schools, the ratings of the schools. They have to understand, because a lot of federal jobs over here, so they have to understand, where certain departments, because some people, there could be somebody calling you from Germany. Hey, I'm going to be relocated to Walter Reed Hospital. I want to be working over there. I'm a physician, but I wanted to leave not far from there. Like, I don't want to have a commute of more than 15 minutes. What areas do you suggest I should consider, right? And you're like, well, I'm in the Philippines. I don't know what areas we should consider for you. They're just going to we're going to talk to somebody else that knows the area, and will mention, oh, you should, Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Potomac, Rockville, different cities that we have over here. So that is the other thing. It's like they have to, like, geographically speaking, I want them to have certain sense of where we do business and the areas and where some of our calls will come, so that they can actually guide them. Now, again, their job is to keep them warm and transfer them to an agent. That's their job.
That is their job.
That is their job. But they're like the front face, of like your building. So they have to be able to deliver a clear, precise message to the public, so that they can do that. So that's where the 4 weeks that we do, it's a lot. It's something that I created on the Google Sites. It's an internal training onboarding process. That
Robert, you should start selling that training. I'm telling you, you should refine it a little bit more and start selling it, so that when we hire ISAs, we'll just take them through your training, right? And
we'll love the opportunity. No, we'll love the opportunity. I can tell you, it's been a lot of work over there. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how it works.
All right, last question for you.
Sure.
Do you send them to maybe a few YouTube channels to learn the dialogue, to be able to speak to people? Or do you have something recorded so that they listen to you or people on the team? What is a dialogue?
Combination of all of the above. We have certain people that we use where we like the scripts. I mean, kudos to Tom Ferry right there. We like him a lot, so he has a lot of good stuff over there. So we use his stuff that it's digital stuff, that it's their dialogues and scripts. We also use that, but we also use our own stuff. So what we've done is, when we have higher listing agents, buyers agents, and they're doing consultations, we record those consultations, and we want them to watch those consultations that we do, so they know exactly they have to close for the appointment. And I have my buyers agents, listing agents, they have like a 5 to 10 minute video they do about themselves, so then they know exactly, oh, that agent will work well with this person because whatever geographic location may be that they have, or something like that. So definitely we do all of the above, because they have to be able to sell, because they have to make the decision. Once they know the lead, they have all the information, they have to make the decision who is going to be the best person that is going to be talking. And that's also part of the training, because
that's the key.
They could be misplacing a lead to somebody that has to drive 45 minutes to an area that they don't do business. Like, why did you say, what did you make that connection when you had somebody that's a lot closer to, that has sold a lot of homes over there? You should have made that connection over there. So that's part of the training that it goes into it. That's why I says it takes about 4 weeks for me to make sure they know our systems, they own our systems, and when they answer the phone, they have a number of things that can offer to people out there. It's kind of like, it's like at the CarMax of the real estate, right? You go to CarMax and there's all kinds of vehicles over there, all kinds of models. Whether you want a compact vehicle, you want a big SUV, you have everything. And a salesperson over there should be able to sell you a car because they have it over there. And if it's not there, they have it on stock online. They should be able to ship it to you within a couple of days. Should be exactly the same concept.
I like what you're creating here, man. So I think it's really good. Robert, what areas do you cover, just in case any of us have referrals?
Sure. Maryland, DC, Virginia, over here, Northern Virginia, all of the District of Columbia and all of the Maryland side, all that triangle that we have over there within the Washington District of Columbia. So if you guys have anybody that is relocating to this area or looking to move out of here, give us a call and we'll make sure that we'll take good care of you people.
I love it. And Anne Marie says hello or good evening. She's from Cape Town, South Africa.
Whoa.
So we have somebody from South Africa as well. Anne Marie, welcome and have a great evening. Thanks everybody for jumping on. Robert, thanks again for being on, man. I'd like to get you back on once you have the VAs you're going to hire next, so I can see what are some of the good things you're putting into place there.
Sure, no problem. Just let me know when. I'll be here.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for rocking it, man.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.